All right, you know how these stories usually start. I get home from work, and there's an unfamiliar car in the driveway. That's pretty much how it usually goes. My story's no different, but with a twist. The difference is that Chrissy genuinely cares about me and would do anything to protect me. Let me start at the beginning. Well, at least the recent part. My name's Tim Matthews. I work in IT at a company in the Midwest. I'm about 5'10", 180 pounds, with dark brown hair and blue eyes. I stay fit by running and exercising regularly. Despite what most of my friends think, I don't date much. It's not that I'm not interested, but I've had some complicated experiences. The first one was strange enough that even after years, I'm still on the authorities' radar. No charges were ever filed, but they can't quite explain what happened. A couple of weeks ago, I was on the 5th floor replacing a monitor. The old one seemed fine, sharp screen, great graphics, no issues. But I swapped it out anyway because the ticket said the user was having trouble. The woman watching me work said, "Okay, I know there's nothing wrong with my monitor. Why did you replace it then? You could have been done in 5 minutes." "Well, miss," I trailed off, checking the service ticket. "It's Miss Henderson," she corrected. "Elaine, but you can call me Laney." Her tone had a bit of flair, like she was delivering a line from a Bond movie. "Laney, my ticket says you requested a swap because your monitor was having problems. But it looks fine to me. Maybe it's a situational issue that only happens at certain times. I didn't want to haul it to the workshop. If you're happy with a new one, I'll leave it here and mark the old one as usable. No judgment, no questions, just trying to help." "Wow, that actually makes sense," she said. "Maybe the rumors about IT aren't all true. But what if I already knew there was nothing wrong? What if I went through all this just to ask you one question?" "Must be a good question then," I said, turning to look at her. I almost stumbled. She was tall and slim, but with curves in all the right places. Her wild curls spilled over her shoulders, and when she took off her glasses, I nearly got lost in her sea-green eyes. She flipped her hair back like she was in a shampoo commercial, biting the end of her glasses to show off her perfect smile. For a second, I thought I was in some sort of music video. Then she asked, "Why don't you want to go out with me?" It hit me like a ton of bricks. I couldn't breathe for a moment. "I don't date," I managed. "Why not?" she asked, pouting. "It never works out. It hasn't, and I don't think it ever will." I started toward the door, but she stepped in front of me, blocking my way. "I think we'd be good together. We're both divorced for the same reason. Our exes cheated. We both like cars, and well, we're both cute." She paused, then added with a playful grin, "At least you're cute. I'm not so sure about me." She ran her hands up her body, making the whole thing feel like she was rehearsing a dance. "Am I cute, Tim?" All I could do was nod. "Let's talk about this more tomorrow at lunch. You've got to eat sometime, right?" she asked. It took me a few seconds to answer. 12:45, I said. "I'll see you then," she smiled. Back at the IT office, no one would make eye contact with me. Josh, one of my best friends, grabbed my arm. "So what do you think?" he asked eagerly. "What do I think about what?" I replied, confused. Everyone in the office, including my supervisor Emma, was staring at me. "I swapped a monitor upstairs, came back down, no issues," I said, brushing it off. Josh looked at me like I'd missed a huge opportunity. Emma rushed over. "Was anyone in the cubicle when you swapped that monitor?" she asked. I pretended I didn't know, stalling for time. Then I finally muttered, "Yeah, there was a woman." Emma smacked my hand away from the door. We know we set you up. Now tell us what happened," she said sharply. "Elaine's been asking about you since she started. You've got a lot in common. She's pretty, you both like cars, and you're both divorced. You should at least give it a shot. So are you going out with her tonight?" "Well, your plan didn't work," I said. "She didn't ask me out tonight." There were groans and exclamations, and someone muttered, "That witch!" "We're having lunch tomorrow," I added, smiling. Everyone cheered like I'd just won the lottery. The next day, lunch was low-key. We sat together in a quiet booth, chatting and eating until it was time to go back to work. It felt like we clicked immediately, like we were two halves of a whole. When she grabbed my hand for the first time, I almost wanted to yell, "Wonder Twin Powers activate." It was that intense. I could tell she felt it too. That lunch led to more dates, movies, dinners, and before long, we were a couple. We hadn't kissed yet or even seen each other's homes, but everyone could tell we were in that high school going steady phase. She was ready for the next step, but I wasn't sure. I liked her a lot, maybe even loved her. At least as much as you can love someone without, well, you know. But Chrissy hadn't liked any of the women I dated since my divorce. I could tell Lainey liked me too. She was always finding ways to touch me and constantly brushed up against me. She also made it clear to the guys who flirted with her that she was interested in someone else. Lainey was beautiful, and it was obvious she wanted me. It wasn't just because we had a lot in common. Her ex was a lazy guy who stayed home while she worked, but instead of handling the house, he was cheating on her with their neighbors' wives. They had a nasty divorce, with her supporting him for 2 years before he got a job making more money than she did. And then there was the car thing. Usually when people try to set up a guy with a woman, they say she's into the same things he is, even if it's not true. But Lainey was the real deal. She drove a stunning 1970s Chevelle SS, orange, with black racing stripes, modernized for better performance. Her engine put out over 400 horsepower. When she drove it like a pro, it wasn't just talk. She knew cars. I knew it was time to take things further when Lainey finally asked, "Tim, don't you think it's time?" She shook her hair and pouted in that way she knew got to me. "We don't need to rush, Lainey," I said. "I think you're the one, but we have time to take things slow." She laughed. "Tim, I'm not talking about Zex. We're doing that this weekend, whether you want to or not. I'm not waiting anymore. But I was talking about something else." I was still processing her blunt comment about going home hot and wet, but I was curious. "What do you mean?" She smiled. "You've seen my car, driven it, worked on it. Don't you think it's time I get to see your famous Mustang? I've heard so much about it." My heart sank. This could be the make or break moment for us, and I really liked her. But I knew it was inevitable. "All right," I said. "I'll be washing it Saturday afternoon. Why don't you come over, help me, and then we can go for a ride? Maybe grab dinner?" "And I'll stay the night, don't forget that," she smirked. I just nodded. As much as I'd dreamed about being with Lainey, I wasn't sure we'd ever get that far. Saturday came, and around 1 p.m., Lainey showed up with an overnight bag. She had no idea what might happen. When I saw her in shorts and a tight t-shirt showing off her belly button piercing, I nearly lost it. Her tan legs seemed to go on forever. "If you're so interested in my legs, why haven't you tried to get between them?" She laughed when she caught me staring. "I just wanted to enjoy our time together and get to know you," I said. "Why do you sound like we're about to break up, Tim?" she asked. "Did you know I turned down other guys to spend time with you? I really like you, so relax." Then she kissed me. It wasn't the kiss that made me nervous. It was the idea of kissing her so close to my house. My heart was racing, and I had a bad feeling about what might come next. "This is Elaine, or Lainey as I call her. She's great, and she loves cars," I said loudly. Lainey gave me a look, but smiled as I led her into my house. She immediately pulled me onto the sofa for a kiss, and we spent the next 10 minutes making out. But then, she suddenly pulled back. "Let's see this car before we get too distracted," she said. "Are you sure?" I asked nervously. "Everyone's been talking about it," she replied. "Before I met you, everyone said I had to see your Mustang." I agreed, and we went into the garage. It was heated, with striped flooring that matched the car. I walked in first, but Lainey quickly darted ahead, gasping, "My God, she's beautiful." She started circling the car, but I stopped her before she could get too close. "Is something wrong with the other side?" she asked. I introduced her to the car, calling it Chrissy, and explained how much it meant to me. I opened the garage door for some air, and Lainey asked, "Should I pull it out so we can wash it?" "I'll do it," I said, noticing Elaine giving me a curious look. "So, you trust me with your car, but not with your Mustang?" she teased. "We need to get to know each other first," I said with a smile. As I approached the car, the door locks popped open, the windows lowered, and the engine purred to life. Elaine admired the exhaust note as I backed it out, making sure to stay in the shade for the wax job. She grabbed the cleaning supplies, and I loved that she knew her way around a car. "Hey, unlock my side," she said. I muttered, "Chrissy," under my breath, and the door unlocked. As she cleaned the back seat, I worked on the front. We both did the usual detailing, cleaning leather, vacuuming, and wiping down surfaces. After 2 hours, we were done and headed inside. We kissed again, but Elaine pulled away. "Stop teasing me. We won't make it to dinner at this rate." She then disappeared into the bathroom to change. "We're taking your car to the restaurant," she called. "I'm driving," she added. The thought froze me. She's a bit tricky to handle," I said. "Relax, I won't hurt your baby," she replied, stepping out of the bathroom in a stunning black dress. I couldn't say no to her. "Just be gentle," I said, handing her the keys. We locked up the house and walked to the car, hand in hand. As I reached the driver's side, the locks clicked open. "How'd you do that? I have the keys," Elaine asked, confused. "Is it some kind of sensor?" Yeah, something like that," I said. I opened the door for her, and she settled into the leather seat. "Wow, this feels amazing," she said. "Like the seat's molding to my back. It's almost like I'm wearing the car instead of sitting in it." Yeah, good seats do that, I replied. Elaine turned the key, but nothing happened. Do you have an ignition problem? She asked. Chrissy, I said, giving her a playful look. Come on. Don't blame her, Elaine said. Maybe I didn't turn the key right. She tried again, and the powerful V8 roared to life. The whole car vibrated, and she smiled, leaning over to kiss me. I love that sound, she said. I was in heaven. I loved Elaine, and it seemed Chrissy had finally accepted her. A miracle in itself. Chrissy had never gotten along with anyone before. After a nice dinner, we were driving home when a near disaster occurred. Elaine and I locked eyes for a moment, and in that split second, she looked away from the road. Everything slowed down, and before we could react, we were heading straight for a semi. The truck driver braked hard, but it was still too late. The wheel jerked to the right, and the car swerved so sharply we almost tipped over. We missed the truck by inches. Stopping on the shoulder, we sat there, hearts pounding, while traffic went on as usual. Elaine's eyes were wide. We should be dead, she said. It's my fault. I took my eyes off the road. But we're fine, I said. No harm done. You're a great driver. You saved us. Elaine looked at me in disbelief. I didn't do anything. I froze. The wheel turned on its own. She paused, studying my face. It's like the car was doing the driving. I didn't answer, just let the sound of the engine fill the silence. She put the car in gear and drove us home, but she didn't say much after that. When we reached my garage, she patted the car's hood, then kissed it. Good night and thanks, she whispered. Inside, I could sense something was off. Maybe it was the close call, but I decided not to overthink it. I took off my jacket and sat next to her on the couch. There was no way we were having intimacy tonight. Want a glass of wine? I asked. How about the truth? She replied, a serious tone in her voice. I always tell you the truth, I said. There's a big difference between not lying and telling the truth, she said, looking straight at me. I've been wondering all day why you named the car after that ditzy character from Three's Company, but that's not it, is it? Chrissy isn't voice-controlled, is she? I shrugged and shook my head. Chrissy, as in Christine, she said, her eyes piercing. I nodded. Elaine grabbed my arm and pulled me close. She shivered, more from the tension than the cool air. I grabbed a blanket and we cuddled on the couch. I'm going to tell you everything, I said. 5 years ago, I was married. I thought I had a good marriage with Shanna. We'd been together for 8 years. Great jobs, no kids, but it felt like a blessing. We met in college and I could never figure us out. I was a nerd, she was the cheerleader, the most popular girl on campus. She had guys falling all over her. I didn't belong in her world. She was beautiful, blonde, blue-eyed, with everything that made her a perfect all-American girl. Her roommate, Sarah, was in my English class and we worked on a report together. Sarah also did Shanna's homework. Shanna had others do everything so she could focus on her social life. Sarah and I were working on our English assignments when Shanna came in, just back from a beach date with some guy. She dropped her cover up and started undressing without noticing I was there. Though looking back, maybe she did. Shanna loved showing off her body. She had large bosoms, not in a fake way, but enough to look out of place on her small frame. It was hard not to notice. Oops, sorry, she said, covering up. I didn't expect Sarah to have company. I just turned away and went back to studying. The mood had shifted, though. Sarah kept looking at me, like she was trying to figure out if I saw her differently now that I'd seen Shanna nearly without clothes. A few days later, Shanna called me about her laptop not working. Since Sarah had mentioned I was a computer science major, she hoped I could help. I suggested she take it to the store or the campus lab, then quickly ended the call. The next day, Sarah showed up at my apartment with a batch of cookies. It was strange, but she suddenly seemed to see me as special. Maybe because I was the first person who had refused to do something for Shanna. Truthfully, I was intimidated by Shanna. I couldn't imagine she'd ever notice someone like me. It was like those guys who dream of owning a Ferrari but settle for a cheap car they try to trick out to look like one. Deep down, they know it's not a Ferrari. So I was fine with Sarah. Sarah was pretty, shy, slim, with a nice smile and legs. But there were tons of girls like her on campus. Shanna, however, was one of a kind. Eventually, Sarah and I became a couple, and we started experimenting with Zex. We even used Sarah and Shanna's dorm room sometimes, which led to complications. Sarah and I were open about our intimacy life, and I guess it was something they both talked about. Shanna, on the other hand, was sleeping with nearly half the school. One afternoon, Sarah and I came out of her room, and Shanna was sitting on the couch, staring at me in a strange way. I didn't think much of it. The next day, I ran into Shanna after class. She was chatting with some guys when she broke away and caught up to me. "Hi, Tim," she smiled. "Hey," I said. "What's wrong with me?" she asked, catching me off guard. "You've never asked me out. You only talk to me when you're coming over to see Sarah. Why don't you like me?" I didn't know how to answer, so I just said, "Shanna, there's nothing wrong with you. We just don't run in the same circles. You're popular, and there are guys lining up to date you. What chance would someone like me have with someone like you?" She paused, then said, "A lot more of a chance than you think. The guys you mentioned, they all have something that gives them confidence. They think they deserve me, or want to be seen with me. Butch Simpson, the quarterback, I've been seeing him for 3 weeks. He doesn't even know my last name. He's with 2 other girls, too. To him, I'm just a notch on the bedpost. When I look at you and Sarah, I'm jealous sometimes. You've done things with her that no one has ever done for me. I've talked to her about it, and I wonder why you chose her. Think about it sometime?" Shanna left me standing there, speechless. I was flattered, but didn't take it seriously. A few days later, Sarah was hit by a speeding car while crossing campus. She suffered severe injuries, a shattered hip, broken legs, and internal damage. After surgery, she was transferred to a hospital back in her home state. I was waiting for her on the porch of her building when her house mother came out with the news. I broke down in tears. Mrs. Dawson drove me to the hospital where I spent most of the night, but I couldn't see Sarah. She hadn't regained consciousness. That was the day my life changed forever. I barely made it to class after that, lost in a fog. Sarah and I had always felt invincible, never thinking about what could go wrong. Her parents didn't know about our relationship or even about me. I tried to introduce myself before they took her away, but they were too consumed by grief to notice. Like them, I had to go through this alone. Surprisingly, Shanna visited me several times, bringing food and making sure I ate. A few times she took me out for walks, letting me talk about Sarah while she listened quietly. After the Christmas break, I didn't hear anything more about Sarah, and, focused on my studies, I stopped asking. Shanna and I moved into the friendship stage, and I assumed she was just looking out for me because of her loyalty to Sarah. One night, Shanna showed up at my dorm and dragged me out to a movie. Most of the people in the theater seemed as confused as I was. What was Shanna Burnett doing with that nerd? Throughout the evening, former friends or dates of hers came over to talk to her, ignoring me as if I wasn't even there. Finally, when one of them tried to hold her hand, I excused myself and left. A couple of hours later, someone knocked on my door. I tried to ignore it, but then Shanna barged in, clearly upset. My roommate had let her in. "Do you even know who this is?" he said. "It's Shanna." Shanna, fists clenched, glared at me. "Why the hell did you just leave?" she demanded on the verge of tears. I sighed. "You had a crowd of guys around you. You didn't need me in the way. I appreciate everything you've done, and I'll tell anyone who asks how you've been there for me through all this. But you've already done more than I could ever expect from a roommate." My roommate just shrugged, grinning like an idiot, and said, "Dude, she's Shanna." Shanna shot him a look and snapped, "Hey, doofus, have you ever heard me begging anyone to go out with me?" He just stared at her, not answering. Turning back to me, Shanna said, "Tim, I asked you to go to the movie tonight because I wanted us to spend time together, not because I'm trying to help you get over Sarah. I wanted it to be just you and me, not you and Sarah's ghost." I thought about Shanna's words, but something didn't feel right. She had to have an agenda, some hidden motive I couldn't see. "Well, there wouldn't have been room for Sarah's ghost with all the guys showing up," I said. "And it's been 2 hours since I left, so you couldn't have been that worried about me. I also noticed she wasn't wearing the same clothes she had on when we went to the movies." "Tim, you can't blame me for those guys showing up," she said. "Some are friends, some were strangers, but you were the one I was with. I tried to tell them that, but then I got caught up in the movie. When it ended, I looked over to ask how you liked it, and you were gone. I came here to tell you off for leaving, but really, I just want to know why you don't like me." She sounded frustrated, like there should be a clear reason for me not to be enthralled with her. "Shanna, what movie did we see?" I asked. She looked confused. "It was The Lord of the Rings," I continued. "It's part of a trilogy. The first movie, The Fellowship of the Ring, is 3 hours long. It hadn't even started when I left over 2 hours ago. So the movie you're talking about is still going on right now, but you've had time to come over here, change clothes, and even shower. I don't know what you want from me, but you should find someone else." I grabbed a book and left the dorm, still in my sweatpants and t-shirt, heading to the furnace room to study. When I returned later, my roommate was waiting. "Dude, why were you so rude to Shanna?" he asked. "She said you're not getting away from her that easily." A couple of days later, I was studying in the library when Emma Bailey, a classmate, sat down across from me. She smiled shyly and then kept glancing at me. Finally, I asked her what was going on. "I was just curious," she said. "You don't seem like the type." "Type for what?" I asked. "Didn't you go out with Shanna Baker the other night?" she asked. I nodded. Well, that was the same night she had her infamous gang bang with some guys. I've been wondering what group Zex is like. Does it feel weird being so close to so many other guys? And what about the girl? I mean, is she just doing it for attention, or is something wrong with her? It seems like she needs a lot to feel anything. Do guys who do that kind of thing, like, get off on it together? Or is it just about the girl? She was asking a lot of questions and seemed genuinely interested in hearing answers. But before I could respond, her expression changed. She went pale, grabbed her stuff, and rushed out, leaving her notebook behind. I wondered why she'd left so quickly. Then I heard the click of high heels and saw Shanna walk up. I quickly gathered my things, ready to leave. "I can't believe that girl had the nerve to talk to my boyfriend in public," Shanna said as she sat down. "I hope she enjoys her options now." "What do you mean?" I asked. "She's either stuck with loneliness or she'll have to turn lesbian," Shanna replied. "I told everyone I won't date any guy who's dated a girl who's tried to date you. So now she either stays in her room with a toy or has to get into girl-on-girl action. It serves her right, Tim. Everyone knows you're mine." I stood up and walked away. The next morning, I showed up for history class. Professor Martin had rearranged the seating, probably suspecting cheating. The guy who used to sit behind me was gone, and a guy from India sat next to me instead. About 20 minutes into the lecture, Shauna walked in, no books or notes in hand, and sat behind me. The professor didn't say a word, even though she started blowing on my neck and resting her fingers on my shoulder, right in front of him. He was normally strict about class rules, but he didn't notice. Shanna left class about 10 minutes early, and still, he didn't say anything. After class, I gathered my books and headed out, but of course, Shanna was waiting for me outside. "Hi, Tim, how about lunch?" she asked. "Didn't you already take this class?" I replied. "Yep. Sarah did my homework. I got an A," she said casually. "How'd you pass the tests?" I asked out of curiosity. "I just turned them in blank," she shrugged. "Professor Martin will do anything for me if I flash these big old tits at him. Tim, you can't get away from me unless you change schools, and we're too far into the semester for that. I know our first date didn't go well, but I'd like to explain things. Let me come over to your dorm tonight, and we'll talk. After that, I won't show up at your classes unless you want me to." "So, if I listen to you tonight, you promise you'll leave me alone?" I asked. "I never said that," she smiled. "I said I wouldn't come to your classes. I'm never going to leave you alone." That night, Shanna came over, and we went out for pizza. As we walked back to my dorm, every guy in the building stared. Shanna clearly loved the attention, swaying her hips and leaning lower to show off even more. When we were alone in my room, she seemed more down to earth, and I wondered which version of her was real. "Tim, all I want is for you to give us a try. If it doesn't work, I'll leave you alone," she said. "Shanna, every guy around here would jump at the chance to be with you. I'm not athletic, I'm not rich, I'm not good-looking. Why can't you just find someone else?" I asked. "I could," she said, "but I want you. From the first time I saw you, I wanted you. Even when you were with Sarah, I wanted you. Now that she's not in the picture, it's time for us." "Can I have a couple of days to think it over?" I asked. "I mean, if you've been waiting this long, a couple of days won't matter, right?" The next day, I talked to my friend Mark, who's studying for a psychology degree. "That girl's crazy," Mark said. "She's definitely got issues. The best thing you have going for you is time. Just play along with her. And in a couple of weeks, she'll get bored and move on. She only stays with guys for a week or two, then she's on to the next. Enjoy the perks while you can. Everyone on this campus either wants her or wants her again. Even the women want to be on her good side." "But how do you know all this?" I asked. "I've slept with her," he said. "I lasted about a day before she moved on to some football player, but it was worth it. Her tits are incredible. Enjoy them while you can." "But why can't she just move on already?" I asked. "Because, man, you're the one that got away," Mark said. "You're Moby. Shanna's like a car collector. She has every Mustang except for an Eleanor, and you're the Eleanor. You're the only guy on this campus who's ever turned her down. Remember when she flashed you and you just went back to studying with Sarah? Then you started dating Sarah and she got jealous. You're the last one she has to add to her collection. But once she gets you, you'll be just like every other guy. And when she's done, you'll be gone in 60 seconds. Trust me, the sooner you give in, the sooner it'll end." I started dating Shanna, and within a day, it was all over campus. Girls who never gave me a second look were now staring at me, wondering what Shanna saw in me. Guys either tried to befriend me or gave me the look, sizing me up like they thought they were better than me. Shanna completely changed. Almost overnight, she became the perfect girlfriend, always bringing me food, cleaning my room, and making sure we were alone when we went out. No other guys dared approach us. She even waited until after I finished studying before trying to kiss me. The first time we had intimacy, I was disappointed. Shanna's body was incredible, but she just lay there, not doing much. The second time, I decided to take a different approach. I tried to be more attentive, massaging her back, avoiding her chest at first. When I started to focus more on her lower body, she responded. Her breathing deepened, and she started moaning. I kept going, and soon she was moving her hips, desperate for more. After a few more minutes, she was clearly getting close, so I slid inside her. She grabbed me and pulled me closer, moaning louder. Afterward, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was the first time Shanna had ever climaxed during lovemaking without using her hands or a toy. In the beginning, I pretended to care about her, doing nice things, buying cards, surprising her. I guess I did it because I was used to it with Sarah. Shanna had never been treated like that before. All the guys she dated before were only interested in her for her looks or status, treating her like a trophy. The way I treated her made her feel special, and that started to mean a lot to her. Once we started sleeping together, Shanna was all in. I hadn't realized it, but getting rid of her now seemed impossible. I had hoped she'd still be seeing other people. If she said she was going out with girlfriends, I told her to enjoy herself, secretly hoping she'd get swept away by another guy. But the girlfriend outings stopped, and soon she was practically living at my place. Some of the other guys, including Butch, looked like they wanted to fight me. Finally, I turned to Mark for advice. "Mark, it's been over a month, and she still hasn't dumped me. What's going on?" I asked. "You idiot," he laughed. "You don't get it, do you? College is more than just classes and studying." "What don't I get?" I replied. "Shanna's in love with you," he said. "She's telling everyone she's yours forever. Hasn't she told you that?" "Well, yeah," I said, confused. "But doesn't everyone say that about their partner?" "Not Shanna. She's never said anything like that before, and she's even stopped sleeping around." "Now, a bunch of guys want to beat you up for taking her away from them," he explained. "I don't see your problem, man. The most beautiful woman on campus is crazy about you. What's the issue?" It finally hit me. Shanna wasn't just playing around. She was serious. He noticed I was still confused and shook his head. "What's the worst that could happen? A few weeks from now, she dumps you. That's what you wanted, right? But for now, enjoy having the hottest girl you know at your side." And that's how it went. For our last year of college, we were inseparable. Shanna still flirted with some professors to boost her grades, but aside from a little teasing, she never cheated. She even warned me about the professors, so I wouldn't misinterpret things. 5 months before graduation, well, before mine, since Shanna still hadn't figured out her next steps, she started talking about life after school. She eased into it, saying, "We should start looking for apartments before summer. It'll be harder to find a place after everyone else graduates, and we'll pay more for something smaller." I didn't respond right away. I was still keeping my distance. I was waiting for her to dump me any moment. Then we had our first argument. Shanna wanted to visit my parents, but I put my foot down and told her it wasn't a good idea. She cried and left my dorm. Her roommate had her boyfriend staying over, since Shanna hadn't been there in weeks. The guys who disliked me before were suddenly friendly, but everyone else called me a jerk. I was sure Shanna would cheat on me, and that would be the end of us. But surprisingly, she didn't. She skipped classes and stayed in her dorm, crying. To my shock, I couldn't sleep either. I missed her more than I realized. I finally admitted to myself that I cared about her. Love has a way of sneaking up on you. The next day, after class, there she was, looking exhausted. When she saw me, she turned and started walking away quickly. I chased after her and grabbed her arm. "Shanna, why are you here? You don't have a class in this building," I asked gently. "I just wanted to see you one more time," she said through tears. "I'm sorry, I won't do it again." I pulled her into a hug, holding her tight. She kissed me, and then I kissed her neck. She pressed herself against me, and before I knew it, we were lost in each other, so caught up that I didn't even notice the crowd watching us. "Anytime, anywhere, I'm yours," she said. My parents ended up loving her, especially my dad. My mom took a bit longer, but she came around. We got married before I graduated. We went through the usual adjustments, but some things were different. People often stared at us, especially in public places, but we managed. I found a great job right after graduation, and Shanna, after a few years at home, took a job in customer service. She was fantastic at it. Customers would forget why they were upset just by seeing her. 4 years into our marriage, we started trying for a baby. Our intimacy life had always been active, but now it had a purpose. Unfortunately, it didn't work, and after seeing several doctors, we learned Shanna couldn't have kids. That news hit her hard. She seemed to change overnight, dressing more provocatively, almost like in college, drawing attention again. When I asked about it, she cried and wouldn't say much. I could tell it was an emotional breakdown from the news, but I didn't know how to help. I went to a therapist who explained that her actions were likely a way to cope with her feelings of inadequacy. A woman's sense of self often includes the ability to bear children, and losing that possibility made her feel less than other women. So she sought validation through her appearance, trying to prove she was still attractive. I didn't understand it, but I didn't say anything because by then I loved her so much that I'd do anything for her. Then came the moment I had once hoped for, but now dreaded. About a year after learning she couldn't have kids, I caught Shanna with another man. A guy from college was on the couch with her when I walked in. I froze for a moment, unsure of what I was seeing. Shanna was lying there, completely detached, while the guy was grinning, but she looked indifferent, almost like she was zoning out. He said, "I'm about to finish. Should I pull out?" "It doesn't matter. Just hurry up," she answered, her voice flat. "Oh, it matters," he replied. "Your husband wouldn't like it if you got you pregnant." "Get off me, you jerk," she snapped. "Tim's a real man. I don't even know why I'm doing this with you. You can't even make me finish. Get out of my house and don't come back." He quickly got dressed and left, driving over my lawn and leaving ruts. But the lawn didn't matter. I sat next to her and she looked up at me, still crying. "Oh no," she gasped, realizing I'd seen everything. "I'm just packing a few things and getting out of your way," I said, more hurt than I expected. I never thought I could truly love her, but I did. I'd always felt like she was the only one who could want me, and I'd convinced myself it was enough. But now, it was time to leave. I spent the night in a cheap motel, $49.95 for a bed and walls, but that was it. The next day, Shanna was waiting for me outside my office. She wore jeans and a sweatshirt, trying to look unremarkable, but she was still stunning. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Everyone in the building stared as I walked past her without saying a word. My boss sent me home, probably to avoid the awkwardness, though I think he just wanted to make her feel better. I finally agreed to go home and hear her side of the story, but when I got there, she undressed off her clothes and jumped on me. "Back off, Shanna. We're here to talk, not to screw," I snapped. "I love you, Tim," she said, looking desperate. "You're the only one who truly cares about me. The others just want to get their hands on me, but none of them ever think about me as a person. They only want to use me." "That's why I was drawn to you," I replied. "When I first saw you with Sarah, you barely even acknowledged me. It was so different from the way other guys acted. I was turned on by the fact that you didn't react to me the way everyone else did. I almost wanted to sleep with you right there." Shanna looked down, biting her lip. I didn't know then what she was holding back. "I couldn't believe it," she confessed. "I was the hottest girl on campus, and yet I was jealous of Sarah. All these important guys would follow me around, desperate to please me, but I was obsessed with you, the nerd." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "After Sarah's accident, I decided I had to have you. It took some time because you were so stubborn. But eventually I got you in bed, and it was better than I ever imagined. Then when you stopped wearing those thick glasses and let me dress you, I realized you weren't bad looking at all. And that's when I really fell for you, Tim." Shauna looked at me, her eyes full of pain. "There's no one else I want to be with. No one I love except you. But when I found out I couldn't have kids, I started to feel empty, like there was something missing inside me. I looked at my life and realized that without you, I have nothing. In the past, I could have any guy I wanted, but you've never been someone I could control. I started wondering if any man would want me now that I can't have children. I'm just a woman who can't fulfill that purpose. I felt like I'm nothing more than an object. But when that guy started talking about you, I realized that no matter what I think of myself, I love you and you love me. Maybe that's my purpose, to make you happy." It was a heartfelt speech, and I thought about it for days. I stayed at home that night, but in the guest room, not ready to face her. It took weeks to regain any intimacy, and months before I could truly say I loved her. But the power dynamic had shifted. A couple of years later, everything changed again. Shanna ran into Butch, the quarterback from college. He was a mess. fat, out of shape, and married to a woman he didn't want. Shanna was initially shocked by how he had let himself go, but Butch had a way of drawing her in, even if the Zex didn't thrill her. It was more about control for her than anything else. At first, I didn't know what to think. I suspected something was off when Shanna started pulling away, but I had no proof. She was distant, and I didn't want to push her too hard. I also blamed myself, thinking maybe I had failed her somehow. Meanwhile, I realized I wasn't the man I used to be. I was still attractive and capable of getting someone else if I wanted. So, I decided to make myself even more appealing, hoping to win Shanna back. I bought new clothes, got a fresh haircut, hit the gym, and even started taking karate lessons. Then I splurged and bought a brand new Mustang GT. The moment I stepped into the dealership, something felt different. The salesman couldn't find the keys to the car, and when I tried the door handle, it opened right up. I knew then that the car and I were meant to be. The same day I drove the car home, I saw Butch sneaking out of my driveway. Shanna tried to pretend nothing was happening, but I knew, and she knew I knew. A couple of weeks later, things took a strange turn. I came home early one day and found Butch sitting on my couch. "Hey, Timmy, we need to talk," he said casually. "Who the hell are you?" I shot back. "Other than the guy Shanna's sleeping with? And why would I want to talk to you?" He looked at me confused. "You don't remember me? It's Butch, from college. I was the quarterback. You stole Shanna from me." I nodded. "Yeah, I remember. What happened to you? Wasn't good enough for the pros, got some girl pregnant. Doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm going to be sleeping with Shanna whenever I want, and you're not going to do anything about it." He stood up, leaning over me, threatening. "Or else." That's when I remembered what my karate instructor always said. "Strike first, and the fight will be over quickly." Without thinking, I kneed Butch in the groin so hard that it lifted him off the ground. As he stumbled back, off balance, I kicked him in the chest, sending him to the floor. I kneeled on his throat and stared down at him, seeing the fear in his eyes. "Listen, Butch, I don't care who you are. Take Shauna and get out of my house right now. I won't stop you. I'll even help her pack. You're not the first guy she's cheated on me with. I'm done. She's yours now." He squirmed, still clutching his groin. "She won't come with me. And I already have a wife. I had to blackmail her to get her in bed." I stepped aside. "Get out, Butch." "I'll be back," he said, still wincing. "Shanna better call me or we're both going to jail. I hate my life, and I don't mind going to prison to escape my wife. But you'd be in trouble too, with her." As he left, he sneered. "I'll kick your A next time," limping toward his car. A few minutes later, while working on my Mustang in the garage, Shanna showed up. "Where's Butch?" she asked softly. "I kicked his A and sent him home," I replied, not looking up. "Shanna, I'm not doing this again. Pack your things and leave. You can go live with Butch and his family. But I'm done." "Didn't Butch explain it to you?" she asked, already in tears. "This isn't like last time. I love you, Tim, but I'm stuck. I have no choice right now. I'll figure it out as soon as I can." "Shanna, what does Butch have on you that's worth throwing away everything we've built?" I asked, now genuinely curious. She couldn't meet my eyes and changed the subject. "What are you doing to the car? Can we go for a drive?" I almost didn't notice, but when she reached for the door handle, it clicked open. I thought it was just a glitch with the car's locks. "Shanna, what's going on?" "Butch said if it gets out, you both face jail time. What's so bad? Did you guys sell pills in college or something?" "Tim," she whispered, "if I thought you'd wait for me, I'd go to jail. But I'm more scared of you finding out than anything else. If you can't tell me, then we don't have a marriage. I'll file for divorce. You can have the house and your car. I'll take mine and find somewhere else to live. You and Butch can have this place." She ran into the house, slamming the door, crying loudly. I decided to drive to clear my head. I loved her, but I was done feeling helpless. When I tried to get in the car, I realized my keys were still in the ignition, but the doors were locked. I thought I might have a short in the wiring. Then, to my surprise, the doors unlocked, and the engine started without me doing anything. I told myself it was just a glitch, but I had a strange feeling about it. I backed the car out of the garage, and as I did, Shauna ran outside. "Please don't leave me," she begged. The doors clicked shut as she got close. "Tim, please give me a couple of days. Let me explain," she said. I looked at her, my heart aching, but I had to hold my ground. "You have 2 days, Shauna. No contact with Butch. You sleep in the guest room. If we don't talk by then, I'll take it as you're not ready to give him up. Then I'll let you go and I'll be free." "Where are you going?" she asked. "Just for a drive," I said. "Can I come?" she asked quietly. Before I could answer, the window automatically rolled up, and the car started backing down the driveway. She turned and walked back into the house, looking as if her world was falling apart. "I can't stand her," I muttered aloud to no one as I drove. "I've given her everything she could ask for, loved her completely. And how does she repay me? She cheats on me every chance she gets. Maybe she's just not the faithful type, at least not to me. She's so beautiful, and yet it tears me apart every time she does this. But this time is different. Does she really expect me to believe this story about Butch blackmailing her? I think they're both in on it. She just wants to be with him openly, without hiding. It's like she's rubbing it in my face, knowing she can't control me anymore." 2 days later, Shauna came to me with a solution. She suggested we meet with Butch and offer him money to walk away, and if he refused, we could leave town together. The second part of her plan was marriage counseling. She claimed she loved me and wanted to fix things. She'd been miserable, and I could see she was sincere, so I agreed. When Butch showed up, my stomach dropped. He wasn't nervous. He was smirking like he'd already won. Shanna started, "Butch, we could offer you $10,000, $15,000 to keep this quiet. Instead of having intimacy with me, you take the money and leave us alone." Butch sneered. "What would I do with money? My wife would find it and force me to spend it on her and the kid. I want more than cash. You used to love it when we were together, but now you're letting this guy steal you from me. Those tits are mine again. I'll be freaking you as much as I want, unless your little husband wants to see what happens when a 300-pound inmate turns you into her witch." "She doesn't want you, Butch," I snapped. "And that's what makes it fun," he shot back. "In college, I had to share her with half the team. She controlled everything. When we freaked, how we freaked, it was all up to her. She loved the power, you know? I saw her do a gangbang once with 5 guys and still didn't get off. Afterward, she just wanted to go home and shower." My anger was building. "Let me make it clear, Butch. If you push this, we'll both end up in prison. Murder is still a capital crime, and there's no statute of limitations." Shanna went pale at the mention of murder. "Okay, I'll let you screw me," she said, her voice shaking. "No, you won't. I'll liquidate him first," I said, my voice cold. Butch seemed to take pleasure in this. "Your wife hasn't told you, has she?" he said with a grin. "Well, I guess I'll have to." Shanna was pleading now, her voice weak. "Please don't," she begged, and I could hear the fear in her voice. My heart went out to her. "Whatever it is, we'll get through it," I told her, trying to reassure her. But Butch wasn't finished. Back in college, Shanna could get any guy to do whatever she wanted just by shaking that A and showing those tits. She even controlled the women by going after the guys they liked. No one could compete with her. But you? She was crazy about you, even when you didn't give her a second look. I never figured out why. I thought maybe you were gay, but why didn't you like her? "It wasn't that I didn't like her," I replied. "It's just that I never thought a girl like her would be interested in someone like me. So I went for girls who seemed like they'd actually give me a chance. It didn't make sense to go after something you have no shot at. The second thing standing between you and Shanna was her shy roommate. I can't even remember her name, but Shanna actually asked her to give you up. She wanted her to dump you and offered her dates with anyone on campus. But the roommate refused. She said you meant more to her than anything Shanna could offer." Butch grinned, savoring the moment. "So, Shanna went to a professor, borrowed his car, and promised to sleep with me for 2 weeks if I ran her roommate off the road. I was only going to break her leg so she'd go home, but I lost control of the car. The roommate got hurt badly and ended up in a coma. She died 6 months later. I wasn't in my right mind. I was on steroids back then, pissed off one minute, desperate the next. I'm not proud of what I did, but Shanna was the one pulling the strings. She wasn't on anything. She was just a jealous witch who wanted to take what wasn't hers." I looked at them, Butch smirking, Shanna crying, and I knew he was telling the truth. All the pain and love I had for Sarah hit me at once. She was taken away just when things were getting good. I could see the life I could have had with Sarah. True love, real loyalty, something Shanna might never give me. Then, Butch dropped the bomb. "Did she tell you the worst part?" he sneered. "I mean, you're a nice guy. Did Shanna ever tell you why her roommate's parents wouldn't let you see her?" I turned to Shanna, but she was shaking her head, crying harder. "They found out Sarah was pregnant with your baby," Butch said, his smile widening. "You didn't just lose your girlfriend. You lost the chance to have kids. That's why Shanna went crazy when she found out she couldn't have children. She feels useless, and she knows she took something from you that can never be replaced. I couldn't take it anymore. I need some space. I snapped, heading toward the garage. "You need to figure out what to do, wimp," Butch called after me. Shanna couldn't stop crying. I didn't want to look at either of them. "I'm going to the police," I said. "No," Shanna cried. "Tim, please, let Butch and I talk. We can work this out." I went to the garage, trying to focus on installing a rear diffuser on my car. I was lost in thought when the garage door opened. My neighbor Steve poked his head in. "Car looks good," he said, filming with his camcorder. "Want to do mine next?" The door from the house opened and Butch walked out. "Yeah, the car looks nice, wimp," he mocked. "When do I get to drive it? Your wife wants you inside to finish things up. Maybe we can work this out after all." "Screw you, Butch. I'm going to the cops," I said, my anger flaring. Butch reached into his pocket, pulled out a tool, and pointed it at me. "I was trying to be nice," he sneered. "But I brought this in case you want to try your karate moves again. How does it feel, training with kids in pajamas?" "You tell me, Butch. How did your balls feel last time you left here?" I laughed, hoping he'd come closer so I could get a shot at him without getting shot myself, but neither Steve nor I expected what happened next. As Butch approached, he passed in front of my car. To my surprise, the car jerked forward, pinning him against the bumper and the garage wall. He didn't have time to react. The car then reversed, and Butch gasped as he collapsed to his knees, stunned. His legs were crushed, leaving him unable to support himself. The car surged forward again, pressing into him and causing a sickening crack as his ribs broke. "Holy crap," Steve gasped. "How did you do that?" "I didn't do it," I said, my voice shaking. "I have no idea how that happened." I went inside and called the police, hearing Shanna quietly crying from the bedroom. I should have gone to tell her Butch wouldn't be bothering her anymore, but I didn't. The police arrived a little later, and Butch was still pinned between the car and the wall. They had us move the car to free his body. His ribs were broken, puncturing his skin, and oddly, the Mustang emblem was imprinted on his chest. Shanna came outside, speaking to the officer, who said it seemed like an accident, though the situation was suspicious. Steve and I were questioned separately, and our stories matched. They also found the tool, confirming that Butch was the only one who had touched it. Steve's camcorder had captured most of what happened, including Butch's threats and the car crushing him. Shanna decided to stay with her parents for a few days. She packed a bag, kissed me, and promised we'd see a counselor. "I love you, Tim. I'll never hurt you again. I swear you'll forget about Sarah in time." As she walked down the driveway, the cops and Steve stared at her. But just before she reached her car, something strange happened. One of the cops was sitting in my car when it suddenly started and rolled up the driveway, crushing Shanna between the car and her own. Unlike with Butch, it was almost merciful. She never saw it coming. We all rushed over to her. I screamed and tried to pull the officer out of the car, but they had to taser me to get me under control. I couldn't bear to look at Shanna's body, twisted between the two cars. Her car was totaled, but my Mustang was untouched. A few days later, the chief of police came by. "It was an accident," he said. "There's nothing wrong with the car. The officer claims he was standing on the brakes when it happened. You might want to get those brakes checked." His words sounded hollow, but I didn't expect anything else. When my car was dropped off later, the tow truck driver told me it wouldn't start and there was something really weird about it. I had him leave it in front of my garage. Almost immediately after the tow truck left, the car started on its own. It was positioned several feet closer to the garage than before. "Okay, come on. I guess it's my turn now," I muttered, feeling numb. The car started moving toward me, and I closed my eyes, hoping it would be quick like Shanna's death. I didn't want to die like Butch, slowly crushed with no escape. But when I felt the car touch my leg, I opened my eyes. It was moving gently, almost like a playful animal. The shocks were compressing, and the lights were flashing on and off. I got in and the engine started immediately. I drove for about half an hour, not sure where I went, but it gave me the time I needed to begin sorting out my thoughts. I knew why Butch died, and honestly, the world was better off without him. Even his family would have been better without the poison of living with someone who never loved them. But Shanna's death felt cruel and unnecessary. As I reflected on it, I realized the car had acted to protect me. My relationship with Shanna had been built on lies. I was always waiting for her to hurt me again, and I never felt truly comfortable with her. Even now, I couldn't imagine growing old with her. It struck me that, as beautiful as Shanna was, she had never been right for me. And now, knowing what she had taken from me, Sarah and our child, I couldn't look at her the same way. I still wonder what we would have named our child, if it had been a girl or a boy. Would Sarah have thrived, or would she have faded like Butch? It wouldn't have mattered to me because I would have loved them both. In the end, maybe it was better for Shanna too. Her beauty brought her no joy, only pain. She couldn't handle aging or not being the center of attention. Maybe leaving at the peak of her allure was the kindest way. A few days later, the city offered me a 6-figure settlement, and I took it. The circumstances of both accidents still seem suspicious, especially Shanna's. The police suggested the brakes failed, but my driveway slopes uphill, so for the car to roll down would defy gravity. Given everything that had happened, it just didn't add up. I told Lainey about it one night as she snuggled in close. "The newspapers did a story a few years ago," I said. It was Steve who came over to talk about it later. He brought me a Stephen King movie, Christine. He wouldn't even come into the garage. He's still scared of it. "Christine," I said, shaking my head. "That name fits. It's become my best friend, and really, my only one. The car has been there for me more than anyone else. I think she likes you too." Elaine smiled, dropped her dress, and started toward the garage. "Let's tempt fate," she said, dropping her underwear and lying down on the hood of Chrissy, my car. "I may not have the perfect body," she joked, "but I love you with all my heart. I'd never hurt you. I'd die before I'd cheat." We kissed, and things heated up quickly. Before I knew it, we were making love on the hood of my car. As we both reached the peak of pleasure, I suddenly realized it wasn't just Elaine who was part of the moment. Chrissy's engine purred to life, and the vibration sent us both over the edge. Elaine pulled away, letting the last of my release land on the hood. "We're sharing you," she laughed. "Both of us, me and Chrissy." 5 years later, we've been married for 4, with a 2-year-old daughter, Krista. Whenever she can't sleep, she runs to the garage, curls up in Chrissy's back seat, and drifts off to the sound of the engine's hum. It's where she was conceived, after all. So, you see, I wasn't lying. There's always been a strange car in my driveway. It's just mine.